Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be my wife cheated on me, but I'm in the doghouse. I got two emails I'm going to go through with you today. The first one is just a train wreck. And so this woman cheated on this guy. They've been together like 23 years. They've got a 6-year-old child together, and about 2 years ago, she started hanging out with a different group of people from work, started doing some cocaine. She had an affair. She was also around that time talking about a trial separation. So things were not going well in their marriage. So fast forward 2 years later, at some point he started reading my book. Obviously, I think this guy's got a case of one-itis and a bad case of the beta male blues, which are brought on by himself. But he pretty much wants to stay with her. And as I go through this email and point out all the things that are going on, I personally would have dipped out a long time ago. And I'm sure you guys, you'll be agreeing in the comments, but this dude's got a case of one-itis. He's still pedestalizing his wife, even though she's a liar and a cheater. It does have a therapist, and so there's some interesting things that this therapist suggested recently that I'll go over. And once I finish going through that train wreck email, we'll finish it up with a nice success story. And this is from a couple that is in Germany, and they're whenever, I don't go on Facebook very much, but whenever I do go on there, they're usually commenting, and they're really nice people, and they got really good marriage, and they've been together for, almost 9 years now. They met almost, it'll be 9 years. 7 years. 7 years this coming month. In a few weeks, as a matter of fact, they'll have their 7-year anniversary from the time they met. They're very happy, and he just, every few months he'll send an update of what's going on with them, and they're just good people. So if you guys are so inclined, I would go over to Facebook, Coach Corey Wayne page, and more than likely you'll see them commenting. I'm not going to say their names publicly because I don't know if they would want to do that, but you can find them if you go check out my Facebook page and have a conversation with them. And I've read several of his emails in the past on their relationship, how they got together, and it's a really cool love story. And like I said, they both are very familiar with the book. They read it together, they know it, they live it, and it's really cool. So let's start off with the train wreck. He says, "Hi, Corey. First of all, I just want to thank you for your content. It has helped me a lot correcting beta male issues and the one mentality." Well, a big part of what I teach is really just attraction, how to be an attractive man that is able to attract the women he wants, keep the women he wants, how to attract the kind of job, career, business that you want. Obviously, I got my second book, Mastering Yourself, which I highly recommend. Then obviously we got the two quote books. This is the second one. It just came out a few months ago. And this is quote volume 1, which is, I guess, been out about a year now. So all those are available. The quotes books, what everybody likes about them, is it ties the concepts from the first two books, Mastering Yourself and 3% Man, together to really help you learn it. So he says, "I'm 51. I've been married for 23 years, and we have a 6-year-old. About 2 years ago, my wife started hanging out with new friends from work, and from photos that I saw, started hanging out with a particular guy. 2 years ago, she said she wanted to perhaps have a trial separation, and I did all the beta male things, pleading, trying to fix, doing more of the chores, buying flowers, all the cheesy stuff you see in the movies that just doesn't work in the real world. So it's obvious his wife had lost attraction, but we have an integrity issue here as well. And so it's easy for us to be sitting there on the sidelines. I mean, the guy's been with her, he's been married for 23 years. It's not somebody he just started dating a few months ago. They got a kid together, they live together. It's easy for us to just say, kick her to the curb. This is probably, he spent more time with this woman than anybody in his life. I wouldn't put up with this. I would have dipped out a long time ago, but as a coach, you got to help people get what it is they want, even if they're hard-headed and you think, bro, come on. But that's what he wants. He says, "She then said she needed space and kicked me out into my son's bedroom." Well, dude, you don't get kicked out of the bedchambers of your castle. If your woman is not happy with you and she tells you go sleep in the other bedroom, you go, no, this is my house. This is my kingdom. I pay the majority or the lion's share of the bills around here. And if you're not happy, if you're telling me you don't want to make the effort in our marriage and our relationship and you want some space, the bedroom is down the hall where you can go sleep. I'm not going anywhere. If you want to work on our marriage and our relationship, you could stay here in the bed, the master's chambers with me, which apparently the woke idiots are trying to cancel master suite and master bathroom. There's ridiculousness. Cultural Marxism, that's what it does. When you study like the Cultural Revolution in China, it just rolls through the culture and destroys the history. Because if you erase the history as you raise new generation of kids, they don't have any connection to the past because they don't know about it. It's been completely erased. And that's how cultural Marxism works. Even though a lot of people on the left want to pretend that it's not happening, it's happening. He says, this didn't last long as I explained to her that we were married, so I belong next to my wife in bed. Well, she belongs next to her king in bed. And if she doesn't want to sleep in the bed with her king, she can go to the guest room. And this is part of this guy's issue, is just being a beta male and putting his wife in charge of the relationship. And look where it's gotten him. She's cheated on him. She sends him down the hallway, and he waddles down there and stays in the guest bedroom like a good little boy. Don't treat your wife or your girlfriend like your mommy. She won't have any respect for you as a man. You're supposed to be the leader and the head of the household. He said she wanted to work on things, or she said she wanted to work on things, and admitted to kissing another guy after doing cocaine. Well, as Rick James said, cocaine is a hell of a drug. I've never done it, never tried it. I've had lots of friends. I've had girlfriends I dated that did that stuff, and I was like, if you're going to do that, I'm out. I don't mess with that stuff. I might have a little Bob Marley every now and then, a few cocktails, but I don't touch any of that crap. It's just not worth it. Especially these days with the fentanyl mixed and everything, it's a bad way to go. It's too dangerous. It was dangerous back in the 80s. And what really did it for me is when I was a kid growing up, there was a draft pick who was supposed to be another Michael Jordan. His name was Len Bias. And so to celebrate, he's like, oh, I'm going to do a line of cocaine. I just got this big contract. I'm #1 draft pick. Did a line, heart stop, boom, he was dead. I was like, wow. He says, and it turns out she did cocaine twice with her friends. Well, also the other thing about cocaine is it makes women horny, and it also makes them more willing to cheat. And a lot of women will give up the poussoir in order to get a few lines. It's the way it is. If you're hanging out with people who are doing those kinds of things, then especially your girl, cheating typically happens. He said, about a year later, I found some photos of her on her iPhone account of her in lingerie that she did not send to me. Well, it just shows where you were on the totem pole. You were all the way at the bottom because she put you there and you agreed to it. You put her in charge of your marriage and your relationship in the home. You made her the man. It's a bad way to go. He says, we also went away for our anniversary just before having sex one night. And just before having sex one night, she went into the bathroom in her lingerie with her phone, and after less than a minute came back out, and that got me a bit suspicious. Yeah, she's sending mirror selfies to somebody else. She's about to have sex with you, and she's sending lingerie to some other dude she's thirsting after. That's emasculating. I had a discussion with her about whether she is messaging other guys to see in a roundabout way if she'd been messaging them. We had a huge argument where she said she will go out with whomever she wants and message whoever she wants. That's what happens. You create a tyrant. You put a woman in charge of the relationship. And all I have to say is that she belongs in the streets. CoachCoreyWayneShop.com. Get your mugs. A few moments later, my spidey sense set in as I saw a photo of her and that particular guy mentioned earlier on her iPhone account, where she said she was going out with a couple of her girlfriends, but obviously she was going out with him all night. So here she is lying and cheating. She belongs in the streets. If you want a woman who's loyal and faithful, she ain't it. This is how she's going to treat you when she's not happy, when you're not being attractive. She'll just go and sleep with somebody else. Loyalty, monogamy, exclusivity, it means nothing to her. And she had no problem looking you right in the eye and lying to your face. She didn't care. As she said, she'll go out with whomever she wants and message whomever she wants. That just shows a total lack of respect for her man and her marriage and her family. She don't care. She don't care about being disloyal. She's not happy, so she wanted, and she went and got some strange. I therefore went into her actual phone to see what's going on and found the lingerie photos that had been sent on Snapchat to another completely different guy. Well, the one thing I would suggest, and you're probably not going to like this, dude, is I would get a paternity test on your child just to make sure your kid's even yours. I got a friend who some of his kids aren't even his. So that stuff will happen. You got a woman that belongs to the streets and you stay with her and you see, obviously there's more than one dude. These are just the ones that you know about. I would want to know if the child's yours. But if you live in a blue state, I don't think it really will matter, even if you got divorced, because you'd be on the hook for it, even if it's not your child. Because that's the laws. You guys live in the blue states. You want to give power to people who basically want to run and regulate every single aspect of people's lives. Stuff's unfair. That's why all these people are flocking to Florida from New York and California and all these other states where the Marxists pretty much run everything. The collectivist ideas. It's not fair, but people are stupid. They don't study history, and they don't see where all this. They don't want to admit where this stuff leads. But it wasn't real socialism, Corey. Real socialism and communism has never been tried. Well, what ends up happening is you end up concentrating power in a small group of elite, and then you got a mafia elite running your country that you can't get rid of, just like the Chinese Communist Party or the Russians. Or you got the Marxists in Venezuela. It's like wherever they go, they destroy everything, and you get a mafia class that you can't get rid of because they disarm everybody. Oh, we live in a civil society. It would never happen here, Corey. Well, that's why the Founding Fathers put the Second Amendment in the Constitution, was because they said, who are the militia? The militia, this is from one of the Founding Fathers. Who are the militia? The militia are, in fact, the people themselves and include all men capable of bearing arms. So all men are supposed to be competent, safe, and armed with pistol and rifle, because if you get called up for militia duty, you better be ready. Think about all the Ukrainians that were working in their nice little comfy office spaces, and now they're fighting for their lives. It sure would have been nice if they knew how to handle a pistol and rifle and transition back and forth between that, but a lot of them are getting killed unnecessarily because they were never prepared. It's part of our duties, Americans. Doesn't matter whether you agree with it. I'm sure people will be bitching and complaining about it, but it's like, I don't care. It's in the Constitution for a reason. And these idiots on the left that tell you that, oh, you don't need an assault weapon. You don't need it. Nobody needs a 30-round magazine. It's like, you're supposed to be ready for militia duty. That's why it's there. When you study the Founding Fathers and their words, that's why it's there. Anyways, I digress. This is what happens when you have a lot of beta males running society. Is that the society, you get the fall of Rome, basically. It's what's going to happen in Russia. Mao killed 50 million Chinese, I think it was, 40, 50 million. It's like, you're always harping on all the body count. The cities are really clean, though. I was like, yeah, they just take you to a field and put a 7.62 round in the back of your head. Unless, of course, they harvest your organs first. But, yeah, let's have more of that communist control. She found out that I had gone into her phone and asked why I did that. I therefore asked her about the guy she went out with the evening before. With much probing, she confirmed that this was the guy that she kissed. I just kissed him. I asked if they slept together, and she admitted they did in a bathroom at a bar after doing cocaine. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. She belongs in the streets. Just want to remind you, these hoes ain't loyal, coach. I asked her about the other guy that she sent the photos to, and she said that she didn't think much of it as he was in another state. Hey, obviously she likes to keep her options open, apparently. I asked her about the phone in the bathroom at our anniversary getaway, and she said that she sent that to her gay male best friend and captioned, Sex Goddess. This woman's got a little touch of narcissism going on, too, it seems like. Turns out that she had been in regular communication with the guy she slept with So it seems like more than a one-night fling, obviously. Well, if you weren't having sex with her, she was obviously having sex with him. The day after that conversation, we went away to Bali, as it was previously booked. Since coming back, things have not been great. We went to a therapist together, and my wife was upset that I called her out on her behavior in the session. Oh my God. I'm going to clutch my pearls. Oh, my pearls. How dare you call her out on her hood rat behavior? Now she has kicked me out and into my son's bedroom again, and he now sleeps between the two rooms with either her or me. Well, you should always be sleeping in the master suite because you are the king of your kingdom. And if she's not happy, she can go on down the hallway. He says, we've had no sex for around 5 months now, although the sex hasn't been great since going away for our anniversary last year. Very little other physical, only a rare kiss, not passionate, or a hug. Well, if you don't date and court your wife, eventually somebody else will. And that's obviously what happened here. You turned into a beta male. You were totally unattractive. And on top of that, you were married to a woman that had no integrity because you made a bad choice and she cheated on you. That's just how women like to operate. I had a girlfriend that was married for 10 years and she was unhappy and she'd been telling her husband for years to get his act together, stop sitting around smoking weed and neglecting their business and playing video games all day. And even the day before she finally left him, they had good sex in the shower. She didn't cheat. She didn't line up another dude. She left because she had integrity. She valued loyalty. She valued monogamy. That's the difference. A woman that belongs to the streets is going to do what this girl is. She's going to go do cocaine and hook up and whatever. A woman who has integrity, that has family values, is going to be like, she's going to tell her husband, this needs to change. I'm going to leave. And if he just, after 3-4 years of that, eventually she left. Her mom passed away over Christmas and New Year, so no discussions about us happened as it's not appropriate right now. Yeah. Again, that's just more her running the marriage. You put her in control, you put your balls in a box, and you gave them to her, and she just abused you. She came into my son's bedroom this morning and said that if I needed to have some sexual activity, that she would understand if I did that with someone else, as long as there was no emotional connection, as she's not sure when she will be ready. Like, so she's saying, hey, you got the hall pass, babe. If it was me in this situation, I'd be like, I'd be taking her up on that hall pass. I would say, you know what? That's a great idea. That's why you should date somebody younger and hotter than her. Because your market value, sexual market value, is going up, or is going down. This was a suggestion from her new therapist. Oh, sounds like a swell therapist. Very highly qualified. I said I'm not that kind of person and said that I would only do that if we were formally separated. Well, you haven't had sex in 5 months and you're sleeping in your son's room because you're her bitch. I know it's not nice, but somebody needs to shake the hell out of you, dude. You need to wake up. Jeez. I asked her if she was only asking me that as she was doing that herself. She said no. Sure. I'm sure she's totally innocent. I'm sure if you went through her phone, you wouldn't find anything inappropriate in there. She belongs in a street. I at that point said to her that I didn't get married, only to be living in separate rooms. Well, you're still a bitch, and you moved into your son's room. You're obviously the bitch in the relationship. Maybe you should get your wife a strap-on for Christmas, and then she can use it on you. If you really enjoy being emasculated, why don't you just take it a step further? And having no physical contact, etc. And then I wanted a partnership, one where each lean on each other, think about each other, etc. And she said she wasn't ready for this discussion and left my room. You mean your son's room. I've gone through your audiobook around 7 times and have started to read it along with the audiobook now. Well, if you read the book 7 times and you don't change your behavior, it ain't going to help you, dude. She spoke to me again later in the morning and asked if we are okay. I said, I don't know. Are we okay? It was like, are we okay? You've been cheating on me. We haven't had sex in 5 months. I'm sleeping in my son's room. I was like, everything is just swell. This is a great marriage. Are we okay? What the? In reference to her comment about having sex with someone else, she apologized and said it was just a suggestion from her therapist to ask me that question. It was like, well, you could say, well, your therapist is kind of an idiot. and probably incompetent. And there's a lot of them out there. I've dealt with a lot of clients over the years that are already in couples and marriage counseling, and a lot of times you get a female marriage therapist and she takes the side of the woman. And it's like, man, the stuff that people have shared with me, it's like, you need to vet your therapist very carefully, because there is a lot of incompetent idiots, and most of them will tell you the reason they became a therapist is because they were so messed up themselves. She said it's not fair on me that she is emotionally distant and we are in this marriage, so is thinking outside the box, and her emotional distance is the reason why she has gone to this new therapist. Well, it seems like this new therapist is just really good at her job. I said, thank you for letting me know. And then I said that one thing you need to know about men, real men, the number one most important thing to us is loyalty and integrity. So asking a question about having sex with someone else came as a shock, as I'm not that kind of man, and it makes me wonder if that is what you are wanting. I'm going to give you a little news flash, dude. It's not only what she has been wanting, it's what she has been doing. You are deluding yourself. He says, I'm different to the guy that you had sex with. I'm a 3% man, or maybe at least a 10% man. Probably shouldn't have said that, LOL. Just been listening to you every day for hours at a time, so I'm taking on your phrasing. Well, I was like, yeah, you barfing words out that you heard in 3% man, that's not going to help you, dude. Starting to embody the principles and act like an attractive man. Go to the gym, hang out with your friends, get back into your hobbies, your interests, go see your mom, go do some fun things with your life, get in shape. And if it was me, I'd be open to meeting new women, because you can see when she's not happy, she's going to cheat on you and feel zero remorse. If you were doing everything the book teaches, you could probably attract her back and cause her over time to fall back in love with you. But as soon as you slip up, she'll just lie to your face and cheat on you. And like I said, there's basically two types of women. Women that operate from a place of loyalty and family, like my former girlfriend did with her ex-husband. And women like this, ratchet hoes that belong to the street. They don't care about nobody except themselves. I'll go out with whomever I want. He says, the guy you had sex with is obviously not a real man. It's like, he didn't care. And I guarantee that he slept with other guys' partners. Sure. And eventually that guy will reap his karma. He'll either get cheated on, or he'll screw the wrong woman and he'll get a beat down he will never forget. Hopefully it's not a permanent beat down he never gets up from, because that does happen. I mean, we do have a thing in South Florida called the Hialeah divorce. And a Hialeah divorce typically is like, it's like, I don't know. That's why I never watched, one of the reasons why I never watched the evening news is because, like, a couple times a week you're hearing about somebody in Hialeah that went postal on their girlfriend or their wife, and their girlfriend or wife's boyfriend, or side piece, if you will, and then takes himself out. It's just again, guys that do that, eventually they come across the wrong guy and they're jumping out of windows or whatever, trying to get away. He'll reap his karma. He says, so, and I guess apparently this guy that she cheated with also was in a relationship, and so he cheated with his partner. You know, liars and cheaters, people like the same things, tend to like each other. You're married to a liar and cheater. She might, or more than likely, will be faithful if you're applying everything that's in the book. But as soon as you get soft and you put her back in charge, she'll just go screw somebody else. Unless she becomes fat and nasty and nobody wants a piece of that action anymore. But that's where you're at. If it was me, I'd have dipped out a long time ago. And I'm sure if you see in the comments, the people are like, bro, come on, have some self-respect. But if he says thoughts on what to do, well, you need to start embodying what's in the book. Because not only will it make your wife feel attraction for you, other women will become attracted to you. And your wife has already given you the hall pass. And you know what would help you? Go, I've been thinking about it. We kind of already separated anyways. We're sleeping in separate bedrooms. We haven't had sex in 5 months. When I bring up our relationship and our family, you don't want to talk about it because it's not a good time because you're so busy. You got such other important things to do. So I'm not a priority. Our son's not a priority. But hey, like I said, get yourself in shape. Get some tighter fitting clothes once you do get in shape. And I'd be open to meeting new women. Doesn't mean you're going to cheat, but it means you're available. And when she can feel that and then make her sleep in your son's room. I would just go ahead and sleep in the master suite. You're paying for it anyways, mostly, I assume. And it's like, if she complains about it, it's like, you can go sleep with our son. This is the master suite. This is where the king lives. This is where the king sleeps, and his queen sleeps there. If his queen's not happy, she can go on down the hall. And if she don't like that, she can go stay at the Motel 6. I don't care. If we're gonna live together, we're gonna sleep. You're gonna sleep in my bed. And if you don't want to sleep in my bed, then I'll get somebody else that does want to sleep in it. I mean, that's the attitude you should have. And when she feels you pulling away, when she feels you no longer giving attention, I mean, because you're basically roommates at this point. So, I mean, if you want to reconnect with her, if it was me, I just can't imagine putting up with this stuff. But you got to do the things that are in the book. You're going to have to date and court her. If she doesn't want to go out with you, then go spend your time with people that do want to hang out with you. And when she sees you moving on with your life and having fun and wondering what you're doing or where you're at or who you're with, you take your time to respond to her texts or her phone calls, her attitude will start changing. But it's like, at some point, you got to take your balls back, dude. It's like, come on, have some self-respect. Because, again, reading the book, but just doing the opposite and not changing your behavior, it's like, that's not even a marriage. You're kind of roommates with a nasty roommate who's disrespectful towards you. So, after that train wreck of an email and a woman who belongs to the streets, I'm going to switch my mugs out real quick here. We're going to go through the German couple who actually have a good relationship and who actually read and learn the book together and apply it together. He says, "Hi, Corey. I thought it was time to write another positive story. My wife and I live your book. We breathe it, and we have lived it by every day of our lives. We see again and again that we are something special, and many people see that too, and we are proud of that." Well, that's the whole point, is that you and your wife become a beacon of light in your community where you show them how it's done. And then they'll come to you for advice. They'll want to emulate your example. And then when you see BS like our previous emailer, you'll light those people up and tell them exactly what's going on. And hopefully they'll leave those unhappy, abusive, toxic relationships. He says, "I've learned and changed a lot since I met my wife on January 30th of 2016. So we are basically 11 days away from the 7-year anniversary of their meeting and the beginning of their love story. My wife keeps telling me how proud she is of me for doing my job properly as a 3% man. Well, make his dick hard, not his life, and she obviously does that. Especially after my wife lost her parents, I was there for her 100% and did my job. It wasn't always easy, but thanks to your book, we always got through these ups and downs together. After the death of my father-in-law, I quickly realized that my wife had changed. She needed the rock in the ocean even more. And I remember from previous emails, it's like her father was her world. He was her rock. And when she lost him, it was soul-crushing to her. But luckily, she's married to a 3% man who belongs to the 3% club. And he handled it. He handled things. He continues to handle things. He says, "I'm very happy to give her this rock because I know how important it has become to her. The fact that her mother died too, unfortunately, could not be changed. After all these years, I like to use your book again and again, and it is wonderful to see that everything that is in it also works." It's like, yeah, even if you think I'm full of shit, if you apply what I teach, you will see that it works for you. Don't try to apply the book to a woman that belongs to the streets and think you're going to change her character. Like, the woman above, it's in the previous email. If she's happy and in love, she'll probably be faithful. But when she's unhappy, she feels zero remorse for lying to your face and then going and having some dude blow a pearl necklace all over her face. That's terrible. I know I'm a terrible human being. You can rely on what you write, and it's amazing how many men have doubts and complexes to just take it in their hands and say, "It's now or never. I've had enough of this shit." He says, "But it doesn't happen. I mean, look at the guy above. Like, all the abuse he's endured, and he's like, how do I make it work, Corey? Well, you got to actually apply what's in the book. Not just like a beat down dog, go to your son's room and stay there hoping and waiting for your wife to give you some attention. If she's not willing to give you the attention, go get it from where you want. Her therapist already said, hey, you got a green light for the hall pass. And if you take her up on that, because the reality is that you can date women 25 years younger than you easily if you're fit and in shape, bro. And I assume she's probably closer to your age. You've been together for 23 years. And that's one thing that women are very afraid of, is younger, more beautiful women stealing their man. He says, there are grown men who act like lost boys when they see a female woman. I find that extremely interesting to look at. When I go out with my wife and do my job as a 3% man, my wife is surrounded by guys trying to do everything they can to get her attention. And my wife just grins and says, guys, grow up. There is my sexy husband. And then I see astonished looks along the lines of, how can this guy get such a woman? The answer to this question is obvious to us 3% men. I mean, look at me. Do I look like some stud with the ladies? I'm just an average dude. But I know the differences that make the difference. He says, it always amuses me, though, that men get rebuffed before they even open their mouths because a woman is already yelling, go away, from her body language. I think a lot of these problems are due to broken relationships. Fathers who don't take responsibility and mothers who say, my ex was an asshole and I'll never raise my son like that. So they turn them into really nice boys who just get walked all over. And then that gets reconfirmed in the movie and the TV programs. Toxic masculinity is a real issue. It's James Cameron saying, oh, we got to get rid of masculinity altogether. We shouldn't have it. Like, what a bitch. What a bitch. I almost dropped the F-bomb. Trying not to get demonetized on Facebook. You can't use the F-bomb or that's it. You can't make any ad revenue. He says, and then later you have these soft boys that look for mommy's approval, which is kind of like how the first emailer is. He's treating her like his mommy. Mommy, can I sleep in the bed with you? Aww. So we have rows and rows of these lost boys who don't have any identity of their own, but there are also no real father role models. And then you read in the newspaper that this damn Marxism is on the rise, that everyone should be equal. Well, nobody's equal. We're not equal to who we were yesterday or the week before. Some days you have good days, you have bad days. It's an absurd thing that Marxism has always tried to do. Hey, oh man, we're all equal here. It's like, no, we're not. Some people are high achievers. Most people are mediocre to low achievers. That's just the way it is. Marxism and socialism is never going to make anybody equal. It's just a death cult. And it ends in genocide every single time. I saw a stat the other day that since Maduro and took power, I think it was since 2016, there's something like 8 million Venezuelans have left the country. And the country was only like 30-something million people. So it was like a third of the people have left. People with money, people with education, people that are smart, they hauled ass. I mean, Chunky, who you guys all know and love from our videos, he's Venezuelan. His father came here when they were, I think, 12. And his father was an ambassador to the United States from Venezuela. So he was in the old government before the Marxists took over. And then when they went on their mass murdering spree, unfortunately, they were able to get the hell out and save their lives. They came like a hair's breadth of not even being here because they were trying to murder Chunky's grandfather, but he got away. And he started a family, or he brought the family they did have here to the States. And I'm pretty grateful for that because his dad's one of the best friends I've ever had. You see skirts for men and guys who paint their fingernails. In Germany, there is now always ultra for men. Men can be women now, and women can be men. Dude, where is this going? That's what Marxism does. It just wrecks everything. It wrecks the family because the Marxists and the communists want the children to be raised by the state or the community. It takes a village to raise the children. Most parents want to raise their own kids the way they want. Yeah, there's bad parents, and there are times when the state needs to intervene, but the Marxists, it's like, what's her name? Patrisse Cullors, one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. She believes that. She wants the state raising everybody's kids because she's bought the commie, hippie nonsense of Marxism that we'll live in a utopia if the state raises your kids and everybody will be the same and there'll be no more racism and this and classism and ageism and all this other nonsense. But all it ends up in, if you just look at wherever it's been tried in over 100 countries at this point, 6 different continents, and it ends in genocide and destruction every single time. When you have a third of your population leaves your country, you're not winning. And the reality is people hate on the United States, but there's more people trying to get in the United States than all their countries combined around the world. So we're still the best bad idea, the best bad form of government that's ever been tried in history. It is because of this, and precisely because of this, my wife and I do it differently. We set a good example. Well, a leader leads by example, not by force, as Sun Tzu said. There are still good examples, and thanks to your book, we are one of them. Well, here's to you guys. Here's to the 3% Club that you guys are great members of. On June 11th, 2023, we will have been together for 7 years, and will be many more great years to come. Thank you for your work, and greetings from Germany. Deutschland! Prost! So if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.